In this lesson, I'm going to provide a brief overview on how spousal support is calculated in California. If you are a standard or advanced customer, please complete the questionnaire you receive via email and send it to us, info@sdsquire.com, and we'll run a court-approved calculation for you and send you the report to include along with your marital settlement agreement. So in this lesson, I'm going to highlight some of the significant differences between temporary spousal support and permanent support. Permanent support is often referred to as alimony, and then temporary spousal is referred to as spousal support. So temporary spousal support is paid during the divorce process, where permanent support is paid after a divorce judgment has been made. A spouse can submit a request for order to the court to obtaining temporary spousal support during the divorce process. That request is made in order to maintain the status quo of the marriage, of the marital standard of living, until a final determination of spousal support is made, which is incorporated into the final divorce judgment. So there are a lot of questions I receive is how long will spousal support be paid? The payment of spousal support is highly dependent on the length of the marriage and the amount of income both parties have made. And then the court also takes into consideration 13 additional factors when determining how much alimony will be paid to a spouse. So the time period during which a spouse can receive spousal support will depend on the length of the marriage, such as was it a long-term marriage or short-term marriage. If it was a short-term marriage, meaning the marriage lasted less than 10 years, then spousal support is usually paid for a duration of half the length of the marriage, if that. If, for example, you've only been married less than 1 year, you file for divorce, it happens, there's no guarantee you are going to receive spousal support for 6 months. Now, if you have been married for longer than 10 years, whichever spouse makes less income will likely receive spousal support for a longer duration according to his or her needs. How long is that duration? It depends. It could be 5 years, it could be 6 years, but ultimately the spouse receiving support is obligated to get back up on their feet, seek better employment opportunities to increase their income to maintain the marital standard of living that they were used to. There are some other factors that can result in the early termination of spousal support, such as a spouse remarrying or retiring. Retirement does have an impact on the duration of spousal support. The payee spouse that retires early could potentially petition the court to have a spousal support award modified based on their new income. So there are different factors that the court will consider in that situation, and there are some other unique circumstances that could result in an early termination of a spousal support order, aside from what was incorporated into a marital settlement agreement. So keep in mind that the court is using a guideline formula when calculating the amount of support to be paid. With that calculation, the amount of support could go up or down based on the court considering those 13 previous factors I just showed you. That is the end of this lesson. Please proceed to the next.